All right. Fire them up. We go live in 5.
Proceed with the countdown.
10,
See if the party reached up.
8, 7, 6, 5, 4,
Make like a
3, 2,
Get out.
1.
Son of a bitch!
And here we go.
Right off the bat.
I'm not answering this because we're recording.
I can't even open up the show without Vern train wrecking it.
How do we start the show? I'm not talking to Mom.
God damn it again.
No, I gotta make sure that pick it up. Otherwise, it's gonna go to voicemail, and that's going to.
See, that's twice. Don't you dare. Anyway, this is Real Rants. Welcome back, everybody. Sitting across from me, you know him as Bod Tower Overdose. Todd Bauer, ladies and gentlemen.
Hi, everyone.
Sitting next to me is the indomitable Vern Adams. Vern, say hello.
What's up?
And don't fuck up the intro to the show ever again.
It was my mom.
Anyway, we are here. We're here to talk about Solo. Give it our 2-cent sort of review and discussion. It's been a little while. It's been about a week since the movie's opened. We kind of had time to digest it, let it settle in, and poop it out.
Wait, are we talking about Star Wars, or are we talking about the Marvel Van Peebles one?
Ooh, that's a deep cut. I don't know.
You could talk about that all by yourself.
Yeah,
Solo.
If you want to talk about that awful Mario Van Peebles movie, go right ahead. We're talking about the Star Wars story thing that nobody really asked for, but we kind of got anyway.
We got it anyway.
It's almost like the Elektra of the Marvel of the Star Wars universe right now, a sequel to or a side story that nobody really asked for, but we got. So, just right off the bat, let's just get right into it. Just some opening thoughts about how we all felt about the movie before we dive into particulars. Todd, your opening or your thoughts?
My first impressions. This is gonna sound weird because I'm going to go into a lot of ranting in this episode. I actually enjoyed the film. I want to state that first. I actually, and
let's reiterate that for when the hate comes later.
Yeah.
See, I think you should have let me go first and then let him go off.
Oh, don't worry. Every section we get into in this review, I will probably have something to say. But off the cuff, I enjoy heist movies, first of all. I think they're fun movies to watch, and you get into it. So I really like the idea of a heist movie in the Star Wars. It's a good flavor. I enjoyed it, but yes, there are a lot of flaws to this movie. It's weird for me to say I actually enjoyed it more than Rogue One. I enjoyed it actually more than Last Jedi. But yeah, that's not to say it is not a horribly flawed film.
Vern, first impressions.
I enjoyed the movie. I really didn't. I didn't think it was exciting enough. I thought that it could have been written better. I came out of the theater thinking, I really came out of the theater, excuse me. I really came out of the theater thinking that it was just, it was a lackluster. I mean, I love the characters. I love Star Wars in general. And like Todd, I like heist movies too. But this one was just blah.
Yeah, I enjoyed the movie. Much like Todd and Vern have said, it's not without its flaws. And God knows there's quite a bit of flaws in this movie. But I enjoyed it for all the, I don't want to say hype or negative hype or anything that was surrounding this movie going in. I felt like this movie kind of overcame that. It's not as awful. For something that I didn't want to see, or I shouldn't even say didn't want to see. For something I don't think we as fans really needed to see, it wasn't a bad movie. It's not like they just served up a turd. But that being said, I thought for all the hype that was surrounding the script, because at one point there was somebody that said this was the best Star Wars script ever written. Boy, were they fucking wrong. I don't know if they were smoking crack that day when they made that report, but no, it's the script, which is surprising because it's Lawrence Kasdan who helped write the original Star Wars, Empire Strikes Back, The Force Awakens. So it's surprising in that regard, but no, the script is not good. And the movie itself, without getting into spoilers or anything, it just sort of moves and then it ends. There's no real build up to anything, and I think that was my biggest problem with this film, is that it feels like the momentum is way too quick. You don't get any time with characters to really build with them or to understand or to get any sort of real character development out of them, except for just Solo himself. And then it just seems like the movie ends. There's no climax, there's no build up, and when it ends you're like, "Oh, that's it? That's the movie? Oh, okay. It's over with, it's done." But no, aside from getting into the dissection here, I did enjoy the movie. So all right, we got that out of the way fairly quickly and efficiently. Let's move on to spoilers.
Spoiler alert! Spoiler alert! Spoiler alert!
All right, we are now in the spoiler section of this review discussion. So if you still have not seen this movie, again, what the fuck is your problem? It's been out a week. Go see it. But if you're one of the types that don't really want to go see it because you are to it, just listen to us kind of bitch and talk about it, and hopefully
what this is going to be. Us kind of bitching and talking about it.
It's going to be like us going to confession. we're confessing our sins. No, not that bad. Again, the movie's not that bad. We have nitpicky parts in here because we're fucking nerds, but it's not that bad. So yeah, before we get into the story, let's just talk about characters' performances right off the bat. Solo himself, played by Alden Ehrenreich. Your impressions?
I liked it. He was one of the better, and I really liked the characters in this. I talked to Vern and I talked to DJ a little bit about it too. I feel this is a movie with really great characters and unfortunately a story that can't back them up. And Solo, the actor did a good job of portraying Han Solo without doing a direct imitation of Harrison Ford.
Exactly.
You got that out of it. And yeah, he did a good job of carrying the movie. Yeah, just a good job.
Before we get to Vern's opinion on him, I'm just going to echo basically the same thing you said. I can't say anything different. So,
oh yeah, thanks. Thanks a lot.
What say you, Vern?
Vern, say something different.
I felt it was one of those movies where he's the Brandon Roth of Star Wars now. Because of
Brandon Roth.
Because of the
We apologize, Brandon Roth, and all Brandon Roth fans out there.
because of Superman. I thought he did a great job as Superman, but I felt the story was lackful. I did not like it at all.
The real rant I could do on Superman Returns.
And that's why I kind of feel like where this guy is going to kind of be like that in the Star Wars universe. Not like everybody. It's not going to be like Hayden Christian, where everybody just hates Hayden Christian. It's just one of those things where he did a great job as Solo, but the story, everybody's going to be like, well, the story was lackluster, therefore he did not do a good job, which is not true.
Well, I think there is a little bit of a Hayden Christensen vibe in there. I don't know if people are going to hate him, but it's almost similar, the Hayden Christensen comparison, because Hayden Christensen isn't that bad of an actor, but he needs to be coached a little bit. And he did not get the best coaching from George Lucas.
He also needed much better dialogue.
Well, yeah. And that's then two things George Lucas is known for not being really good at, and that's writing believable dialogue, and he's not an actor's director, meaning he doesn't know how to really give proper direction. And, like, in terms of, like, how a character, basically to get down to, like, the emotions of the character and stuff like that. He's really just kind of more interested in his effects and set, and like, okay, you just stand here and do that. And then, like, the old George Lucas way of directing is you stand here and move while this person stands over there. And then they get up and move, and then you move over here, and you just kind of change position. If you watch the prequels, count how many times that happens where they just change positions in the room. But no, I think that comparison is a little bit valid. But just that there won't be as much hate towards Hayden Christensen or as towards Alden Ehrenreich. But the script comparison, story comparison is definitely there. Lando, the other kind of really big main person in this story, I thought Donald Glover was fucking awesome as Lando Calrissian. I can't get into too much with the character, but all I can really say is that he was really good, and he channeled Billy D. Williams to almost perfection.
To a T.
There's times where if you close your eyes, it sounds like a young Billy D. Williams talking in this movie.
I liked how they had him always call him Han.
Yes.
And he even says, like, oh, it's pronounced Han. But all through the rest of the movie, Donald Glover is still calling him Han.
Yes. Because I can't remember. I don't even think Billy D. called him Han.
No, he always called him Han.
He always called him Han.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
If you go back and watch Lando in the original, every time he says Han Solo's name, it's always Han.
Yeah, I thought he did a great job. I mean, Billy D was such an icon back, like in the in the 70s, and 80s.
He was the definition of cool.
Yeah, he was just a cool cat. So, and like even in the Clone Wars cartoon, was it Clone Wars or was it Rebels? I think it was Rebels.
I think he popped up in Rebels.
He popped up in Rebels, and even it was just. Lando Calrissian is just such a cool cat.
He is a cool cat, and I do think that Donald Glover. I love Donald Glover in general. I think he was really perfect casting.
Yeah.
For Lando, I think he did a good job. I liked. It was interesting because they made him a little bit of a butt of the joke in a lot of this movie, where he's. In the original trilogy, he is just kind of like cool guy. He gets a little shit, but in this he was kind of he became the butt of the joke a little more. But it never felt like mean spirited or too much. His character was always just kind of there.
Woody Harrelson's character Beckett. Any thoughts there?
I liked Beckett.
Yeah, me too.
Beckett was, and he's kind of like your stereotypical like mentor for like thugs on the street kind. It's like an Oliver Twist kind of thing. But he, yeah, I liked him. He was a good like mentor figure. You do see a lot of his character in an older Han Solo. I feel that you get a lot of like don't trust it. I can't trust anyone and blah blah blah. Shoot first, kind of stuff. So I think he was good, and Woody Harrelson's a good actor. So I always feel he's one of the best parts of any film he's in. Yeah. But yeah, I enjoyed his character too.
Yeah, Woody Harrelson is always that guy you bring out. It's like, who can we bring out the train Han? Well, how about that dude from the Hunger Games? He did a really good job in that. But yeah, Woody Harrelson, you get him in a movie, you're never really surprised of how good of an actor he really is.
Yeah.
I mean, I keep thinking of him as Woody from Cheers. Like he's just the imbecile, but every time I see him in a movie, he just goes that extra mile just to show and prove how hell of a good actor that he really is.
Yeah.
And I thoroughly enjoyed the character. So, but I was still waiting for Katniss to come out and help them.
I was ready for Jesse Eisenberg to come out, like Zombieland style.
Like for Bill Murray to come out.
Han Solo's love interest, Kira. I'll start off by saying, I think it was interesting, kind of what they did with her and and how you don't see the evolution of her character, but where she is in the beginning is in a completely different spot from where Han runs into her later on. And I thought it was interesting, kind of what they did in the swerve at the end of the movie, even though I saw it coming. It was one of those, just a softball.
Yeah.
I mean, it's kind of hard not to see that swerve coming, but I thought it was interesting, and I thought it sets up Han's sort of distrust even more for people, because you had Beckett turn on him, and then you kind of had his love interest just ditch him. So in that regard, I thought it was an okay character. I thought the actress did a really good job in the role, but the character itself, I just kind of, it was all right.
Yeah, she's played by, what's her name from Game of Thrones?
Elena, I just had it. Clark. Yeah, Emilia Clarke.
Yeah, she did a good job. He said the role was a lot of implying. Mm-hmm. Which was like, in the beginning they're just their kids on the run, and then there's I think they say 3 years pass.
Yeah,
and she is a very different character after that, and they're always like you don't know the things she did, and it's a lot of tell don't show with her character, but I think she did a fine job, and it'd be interesting to see if they do more stuff with like bounty hunters and crime syndicates in the future. It would be interesting to see where her character goes.
Yeah,
it's gonna go with dragons.
Exactly.
It's gonna go with dragons.
Just start birthing dragons. Or some whatever Game of Thrones does.
What say you, Vern?
I gotta say, I really didn't. She was an okay character. She didn't wow me. Clark's she's a great actress too, but the character just didn't do anything for me at all. We all knew that she was going to betray Han at some point.
Yeah,
we just didn't know how or when or where or why. So, but yeah, she. Like I said, when I came out of this movie, it was just like,
Yes. We got 2 more characters to go here before we get into the obvious one, or before we get into the one that will segue into the next part of this discussion. Chewbacca.
Yay, Chewbacca!
Chewbacca's awesome.
You can never hate on. The whole movie could be garbage, and Chewbacca would still come out smelling like roses. I thought I really liked what they did with him in this movie. The guy who is now the torch has been passed from Peter Mayhew to this new guy who was him partially in Force Awakens, and he was him in Last Jedi.
I'm not even going to try to pronounce that.
And his name is Jonas Suotamo or Suotamo or something like that.
Suotamo.
Yeah, Jonas Suotamo.
Yeah,
Or
sounds like-
Junis
Zuotamo?
Jonas Suotamo.
Yeah.
But he was
That is an interesting.
It really is.
he split time between Peter Mayhew in Force Awakens as Chewbacca, and I think he took over 100% the role in The Last Jedi, if I remember correctly. Unless Peter Mayhew was still involved in, like, sitting scenes and stuff like that, but I'm pretty sure it was this guy. And then he was him entirely in Solo. Does everything you would expect Chewbacca to do, and it's not like he acts, how am I trying to say it, movement-wise, not very different from Peter Mayhew, and I think that's the big key. You know, he kind of spent, when he was approached for the role of Chewbacca, he spent a lot of time studying Peter Mayhew's movements, so it feels like a smooth transition from Mayhew to him. But overall, I just thought I really liked the character in the movie. I liked seeing how him and Han, how their friendship builds, which I think is probably the strongest aspect of this movie.
Definitely.
But yeah, I really liked Chewbacca, kind of seeing the beginnings of his and Han's relationship, and I mean, I don't know. That's all I could really say about Chewbacca in this movie. I just thought he was really good.
When I was a young Todd,
When I was a young Todd.
and I always predate this, that I like Star Wars, but I'm not like a Star Wars super fan. I'm about a shade above the casual viewer. But when I was a kid, Chewbacca was always my favorite character, and so whenever I see him, I always just get a little happy to see Chewbacca. And like you said, the one of the strongest parts of this movie was the relationship that was budding between Chewie and Han. And you have to think that's pretty impressive, as you never know what the hell one of them is even saying.
Yeah.
But it shows like they have a respect for each other. In the beginning, they're kind of clashing a little, which is kind of fun.
Well, Chewie was kicking his ass.
Yes, Chewie just, and even after they break out, Chewie's like just dragging him around for a little while, and Han's like, "Oh, let's go this way," and Chewie just goes the other way and drags him with a chain. But there's nice moments like when they're on the ship and they're both kind of outside in the wind and they're just talking, they're just like being bros.
Yeah.
And I thought it was legitimately one of the best parts of the whole movie is where Han's character learns to not trust anyone else. He learns that he could always trust Chewie, and likewise. So it's just a good connection.
Yeah, I agree. Like from the moment when Han needed help with the ship, and Chewie just hopped right in and just start flipping switch and doing what he needed to do. And I was just like, wow. It's like, because you always forget that Chewie is like a mechanic, he's a pilot, and it's that there's more to the book.
Yeah.
So it's just one of those things, and we get to see Chewie do a lot of bit more physical things, and we learn more about him. Like, when he met Han, he was 190 years old.
You look great.
And I love that part I love that part when he said that. It was like, you're 190 years old? It's like, man, you look great. It's just a trip. I mean, we got to see him. I don't know what the chess game was.
I think that was just a throwback to show that Chewie has always been awful at chess.
We got to see him rip arms.
Yes.
So it's just the little things that just made me happy and smile. But like you said, we can never hate Chewie. Chewie is just a lovable character.
He's one of the only likable characters in the holiday special.
Oh my god!
Other than that, it's just a bunch of Wookiees screaming and B. Arthur singing.
Oh my god!
Well, don't forget about the one Wookiee falling in love with who was the one singer? Was it not Gloria Gaynor? She's a black singer. What the hell is her name?
Because there's not a lot of black singers out there. I'm sorry you fell into that.
Well, help me out of the Sarlacc pit here.
I'm sorry. I'm trying to blake myself.
I can't remember. All I remember is in the holiday special, she's singing, and one of the Wookiees is having almost like it's like a wet dream
It's
about
like
her
this
singing.
weird virtual reality sex
I'll
with a
look it up.
Wookiee.
Yes. Oh my god.
I'm really glad we got onto the topic.
Yeah.
Holiday special.
This is all your fault, Todd, by the way.
I accept full blame for this.
All I remember is just how stupid it looked. And God, she almost looked like she was wearing the outfit of the one woman in Masters of the Universe that like Skeletor is sucking the life out of. Shit.
Diane Carroll.
What's her name?
Diane Carroll.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, the one Wookiee's like having like a wet dream like over
That
her
was interesting
singing.
because there was a rumor before this came out that we were actually going to see those Wookiees again.
Oh, we see Wookiees, but we don't see those ones.
Yeah, but that's like Chewbacca's actual family. So
Yeah.
and they talk about Chewbacca's family. That like that's his motivation for doing all of this is to like find his family or get back to his family.
Yeah, to free his family or
did I
tribe
forget that?
as he. But all right, let's move on. We'll still talk about characters, but we're gonna dive into sort of the aspects of this movie right now that we thought were either subpar or we didn't like. I'll kick it off, not with the robot yet, but with the villain Dryden. I really wasn't that impressed. I thought he was okay. It had nothing to do with the actor Vision, who played him.
That's all I thought every time I saw him. There's the Vision.
I like his thing. He goes like, "Fucking Vision's in this." How did I not know this?
Scarface Vision.
He just starts doing one of these, like rubbing his forehead with the crystal. Starts floating. But no, he did an okay job. I just think it's much like Marvel movies in that most of them nowadays don't have strong villains. And he was the kind of villain of this movie, even though there almost was no direct villain in this movie. He was in that role, and he's just kind of like, it is what it is. I wasn't, again, it's sort of a bounty hunter thing. I didn't expect any sort of big force wielder or something like that, but somebody with a tad bit more menace would have been good, and I never got that from this character. He just seemed kind of like a punk bitch. That's all I never really got
Laser razors.
Is that new from Gillette?
New clean shave. Use the laser razor.
Could shave off all 3 layers of skin.
Now, Dryden was interesting because, first of all, like I said, every time I saw him, I just thought of the Vision. And I said, that's going to be a thing now, because Disney has a handful of actors they like to work with, and now we're going to see a bunch of Marvel people in Star Wars, a bunch of Star Wars people in Marvel. Like, it just seems natural.
Yeah.
Keep it in the family.
Yeah, that's pretty much what it is.
Ew, Vern.
I thought he served the point, like, he served his purpose of being just kind of like big threatening cartel guy, and that was was it from him.
But I didn't even get the big threatening part of him.
Yeah,
He just seemed kind of like a wimp.
Yeah, I didn't find him very threatening at all.
Like, you throw somebody, now I'm gonna go Star Wars deep cut here. If you threw somebody like Prince Skizor in there,
Yes,
from Shadows of the Empire, that would have been somebody threatening and menacing.
Is it interesting that the giant slug mafia boss was more intimidating than the cartel boss.
I would have accepted that more. I really would have accepted that more, or even a hut.
Yeah, well, that's what I was saying. So we had Jabba, who was more intimidating, and even in the beginning, we had that like centipede woman.
Yeah,
Lady
aside from
Proxia?
her, Lady Proxima.
That's it.
Aside from her ridiculous voice, which they just should have put alien garble over it, because she just sounded like a southern hag.
See, I kind of liked her as the alien voice. Actually, I'm trying to look her up because I don't know her name, but I know the act. I don't know her name, but I know the actress, and it's the actress from NCIS Los Angeles.
Oh, the little short lady?
Yes, because I've always loved her since, now I'm drawing blanks. Once I find it, I'll let you know.
But my whole thing is, I don't like it when Star Wars puts these goofy-ass voices in there. One of my things with Last Jedi that I didn't like was when they went to the casino planet, and the one alien that's complaining about where they parked their ship, he's like, oh, yep, they parked their ship right over there. There they are. It's like could
Goofy.
It is. It's essentially Goofy.
Gosh, they parked in the wrong spot.
But they made him sound like a fucking idiot. You couldn't just be like, or like, just come up with some sort of alien language.
Like a normal voice?
Yeah. like Jar Jar Binks. Misa Jar Jar Binks. Do you have to really have him say that and talk like that? You couldn't garble his voice. Or the Nemoidians in the Trade Federation guys who speak English. They sound like bad Chinese caricatures. You saw over there. Like, oh my god. Just normal voices. That's all I want. I don't need like Jesus Christ. Like, what if Jabba the Hutt just sounded like a fat New York Italian?
Oh, wow.
It's not far off from what they've done.
You're saying that as if it was a bad thing? Like he just sounded like Jabba as voiced by Andrew Dice Clay.
Hey, yeah, forget about it. Han Solo, come over here.
Han Solo, hey, get over here.
Oh, come over here now.
I found the name. Her name is Linda Hunt, and I remember her from If Looks Could Kill with Richard Grieco from 21 Jump Street back in the day, and he had his own movie, and she played an assassin, and I've loved her ever since because she was awesome. So that's why I'm like, oh, I love her.
I don't mind her. I hate their decision making when they do these characters, and especially when it comes to voices. Just alien garble the voices, at least, because that to me took any sort of threatening menace out of that character. They still could have had it female, and they still could have garbled the voice and just subtitled it and made it just a little bit more threatening. Instead, I just started laughing when I heard the voice. I'm like, this is ridiculous. Come on now. Like, we're going back into Jar Jar Asian territory here, like episode 1.
Well, they probably didn't want her sounding like doing, was it in Harry Potter, Parcel Tongue or Parcel Mouth or whatever? I probably didn't want to sound like Snake Sound or like Cobra Commander. How's that?
That is a good reference.
Yeah.
There's a reference I could get behind.
I was once a man.
But that's just, again, a pet peeve of mine. I fucking hate, I hate those goddamn voices. And getting into even more shit that we didn't like about this movie. Let's talk about L3, shall we?
All right, first I'm going to start this off.
Let's get the one who actually liked her out of the way.
I kind of liked her out of the way because when I started playing the...
You liked her out of the way? That's what me and Todd feel.
I said, let's get this out of the way. And because when I started playing the Star Wars RPG game, I didn't realize that in Star Wars, droids are just pretty much just crap. They're just crapped on. And so it was kind of refreshing to see a droid who was kind of self-aware and that she wanted to... she wanted all robots to rebel, so to speak. And I like the difference in that character compared to all the other droids. And it gave the movie a bit of a humor to it. So now that I've said that, Have at me.
Todd, I'll hand the ball off to you and let you run with it for now.
I'm gonna piggyback a little off of what Vern said. At first I was kind of like, okay, where are they going with this character? Like Vern said, whatever. I don't know the pronouns for a droid. But the L3 starts going on about like equal rights and all that, and it felt like they were doing like kind of like this like social justice warrior kind of thing, but it was so almost heavy-handed that it felt like it was a parody of those kind of people. Like it wasn't like it didn't seem genuine. It seemed like the writers were like, let's make her this and really make her this.
So, like I told you before, there was zero subtlety to it. It was a big fat tuna slap across the face.
Tuna slap.
Like it had the subtlety of getting slapped in the face with a tuna fish.
So you felt it was forced.
Yes.
Pun intended.
Zing.
But yeah, that's what I got. That's what I got out of it. Was it felt
I'm gonna sit in my corner.
like they weren't they didn't handle it right to me, and that's really my problems with the character lie. Is it felt too heavy in there to take the character seriously.
I'll be less subtle than both of you. I fucking hated the character. The more I sit there and really think about the movie, I just did not like the character. I'm glad, spoiler alert, since we're in spoiler sections, I'm glad her ass got fucking dusted. And I'm not talking about Thanos dusted here.
You're an animal!
I just found her really super annoying, and I'm glad I don't have to hear her goddamn voice anymore now that she's merged with the Millennium Falcon.
For some reason.
For some reason or another. It was, Deus Ex Machina point there. How do we get through this? Well,
they never really mentioned that in any other movies, right?
No.
Droids.
That's a droid that's
living. Droid living in the Millennium Falcon.
I thought the whole, like what Todd brought up about it was like a social justice sort of thing. And I mean, I get that with the droids and everything, and it just seemed way too fucking just beating you over the head, and it became a dead horse issue, like with me. I just wanted to move on, and I'm not even the type of person that's like, I'm not the type of person that's offended when politics and stuff cross over into media to try to send a message and stuff like that. Like, that's all art, and art represent, stuff like that. I get it. I just felt this time around it was way too fucking just beating you over the head with message. Like, Jesus Christ. And plus, I just found her character annoying. And then what are her and Lando, are the robot and Lando fucking? Like, there's a part where he's like, oh, he's totally into me, but yeah. And then the
Sundare robot.
And then Kiera, I think, even asked her, well, could that even work? And the robot's like, it works. It can work. I'm like, what? Like, are we getting... Now we're just... Oh, my God.
Explain that to your kid.
Yeah. You see, little Billy, Lando Calrissian, wants to boink his robot. But
the robot loves
boink.
his toaster.
That must hurt a lot. I'm just saying.
Sparks fly.
Oh, wow.
Oh, my goodness. That character was just... when she died, it was supposed to be this big emotional moment, and I did not give a fuck. The only part with her that I really liked was when she was setting the other robots free on Kessel as a distraction. And it was all the other robots, though, that I liked. Because one of those big, trash can-looking robots, the ones that have, the big kind of, I don't know, kind of feet. I'm trying to think of how to describe them. But they look like the little trash cans. You see them in A New Hope right
Yeah.
off the bat, and on the Jawa ship. That's stomping controls just going like and it's just like smashing all this shit. I liked that part of the movie. I liked the little robot rebellion that they had. I just didn't like L3. Nope.
Is it her full name L33T?
No, L3-37.
Okay, good. So I thought I had seen originally that her name was Leet. And like internet speak.
Let me double check that.
I didn't care enough to even pay attention.
They never say it, I think, in the movie, but it oh good.
Actually,
It is L337. It is Leet. God damn it. Why is this movie doing this to me?
backstory. What is for those of us who might not be as
So, like, when the internet was still young, there was this...
And innocent.
Yeah, there was this, like, talking with letters and numbers at the same time.
Yes.
And they called it Leet Speak for, like, gamers.
Okay.
And it basically means elite. If you're elite, you're talking like this. So they took essentially a joke from old internet and named a character it. God
Damn you! Damn you to hell!
Before we move on,
you maniacs, you blew it up.
Before we move on from droids, I would like to mention that this is actually the first Star Wars movie without C-3PO and R2-D2.
Oh.
Oh, no,
Really think about that because
Oh,
they were
it
in
is. They
Rogue
were in
One.
Rogue One.
They were in Last Jedi. So yeah, it's the
is.
first Star Wars movie without Mr. Anthony Daniels.
No kidding.
All right, other aspects that we didn't like about this movie before we had our little moment there of silence for C-3PO and R2-D2.
Did you like the creature with 1,000 eyes in the movie?
Oh, the one where they're playing poker?
No. The one that they were trying to get out of the do the Kessel Run.
The literal cosmic octopus.
Yes. I didn't think about it that way.
That's all I thought about when I was watching that movie. As I saw it's got like all these big tentacles and eyes all over, and I went, "That's a cosmic octopus." I wrote it in my notes here.
Yeah, it's true. It's in there.
I freaked out in the theater because I'm like, I can't wait to talk about this on Real Rants. They ran away from a cosmic octopus.
And then we died. I didn't mind it. Star Wars always has in each one of their movies a moment with some like weird creature moment character thing, and you know, like in Empire, it was the weird penis-looking monster that comes out of the asteroid.
New Hope was like the garbage can monster. The garbage compactor.
Return of the Jedi was the Sarlacc pit and the whatchamacallit, the Rancor monster. Mm-hmm. So they all have like their beasts. I thought it was a little too much. I shouldn't say too much, but it reminded me a little bit of from Episode 1. Where they were going through the planet core.
Oh, yeah.
And the different, like, monster fish creatures that they were encountering there. It reminded me a little bit of that in a way, but I didn't mind it. I have problems with the Kessel Run in general, but the tentacle creature I didn't mind.
Yeah, it seems like an old thing with Star Wars. Like, you know, there's always some kind of big creature that's chasing after them for some reason.
I like this because there wasn't enough things in the Kessel Runs they were up against. It's like they're simultaneously trying to avoid like a Star Destroyer coming at them while being sucked into like a black hole. And let's just throw this big monster into the mix too.
And let's talk about the Kessel Run since we're talking about the creature with it.
Okay.
I thought for as quote-unquote legendary as the Kessel Run is supposed to be to Han Solo's character, I felt extremely cheated and underwhelmed by that whole sequence. And I know we were talking about this the other day, Todd, and that's because when George Lucas wrote the original script, he had no idea that a parsec was not a measurement of time, or he thought it was a measurement of time when it's a measurement of distance.
Yeah.
So the whole parsec thing goes out. It's
So
just,
instead of this thing's really fast, it's we took a shortcut.
yeah. So, and that's how it had to be kind of written. Like, oh, the only Kessel Run you could do is through here. Like, well, no, they did it by going straight through here. And yeah, I felt really cheated by that for something that I was really looking forward to. And it's gonna sound kind of funny. I wanted it to be my Smokey and the Bandit moment.
Thank you. Yes.
For Han Solo.
Yes.
And that's what I was really looking forward to. Is I wanted this moment where he's like outrunning something, and I thought maybe the whole movie should have been centered around the Kessel Run, or like I said, Smokey and the Bandit style. But yeah, I felt kind of let down and just sort of like almost like how this movie was in general, where it's you get what you want to see, and then it's just sort of over with, and you're like, oh, that was it. That was it. And then at the end, I hated how Han Solo had to be like, where he's like, hey, I did the Kessel Run in 12 parsecs. I thought that was a little too, like, come on, really? We get it. We know you did.
I wasn't a fan of that at all. And yet, like you said, I was hoping for a Smokey and a Bandit kind of thing as well, and instead they gave it Fast and Furious.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. I don't know. How did you feel about the whole Kessel Run thing? Okay, we're moving on.
That's pretty much all I got. Is well, they made it like because it said it wasn't time. It wasn't a speed thing. Now they made it like an obstacle dodge.
Yeah.
So it's instead of going like outrunning something or going really fast, it becomes that the ship is now like maneuverable. And they're getting, like, the ship is getting destroyed the whole time. They're using, like, super hyper fuel, and it is what it is.
Trying to think of other, anybody else off the top of their head have anything, because I'm drawing blanks here.
The only
other stuff I didn't like about this movie.
Can I talk about the thing I don't like in this movie?
Do we have that time?
Is it the thing towards the end that pops up? Yeah. Let's wait. Let's sit on that. I know what I could talk about right off the bat that I don't like this or that I didn't like in the movie, and that is the what they set up initially to be kind of the villain of the movie, and then it turns out to be they're good guys. Can you look it up? Really
they thought they were marauders.
Yeah, they were a gang of marauders. It was the Sky something gang or whatever. They were like kind of like a biker gang, and
I was just looking at her.
And they set them up to be these bad guys throughout the whole movie, and then a twist at the end, they're really good, and they're we've been working on the same side all along. I really fucking hated that. I really did. It's a trope that I'm starting to really just.
They were in the beginning, and I almost forgot about them.
Yeah,
and then all of a sudden they showed up in the end again. What I got out of that is the thing. What I specifically didn't like is that they become like the rebellion, the beginnings of the rebellion, and Han Solo helps create the rebellion, and then later doesn't give a shit about the rebellion.
But well, here's the thing. I don't know if it's meant to be a rebellion, as in the rebellion, like the Mon Mothma led, Bail Organa led rebellion. I don't know if it's just if you're just seeing the grassroots of maybe certain systems kind of being like, okay, we're not gonna fall completely in line. But I do understand completely what you're saying. What was the name of the
Cloud Riders?
The Cloud Riders, yeah, and I can't remember the leader's name. Infest Nest.
Yes.
Infest Nest. Ugh.
Infest
Nest.
Admiral Beehive.
I'll steal one from Mr. Plinkett. Captain Bone to Pick.
The thing I did like about that, though, is what's his name? The little guy who played Wicket.
Yeah, he was in there.
He shows up. You see his face?
Davis?
Warwick Davis.
Yes.
Yes.
Willow.
He is always in a Star Wars movie ever since Return of the Jedi. He's
Yeah.
one that they always find a role for him.
So it was nice to see him show up there.
Yeah. But yeah, like
the outfits were kind of neat for him.
I liked the costuming. I just hated the swerve with them. It just was annoying as fuck. Like I said, it coming from somebody who tries to do film. Not saying that I'm the best filmmaker in the world. Not even fucking close. But I get tired of seeing that trope where it's like, oh, we were both fighting on the same side the whole time. Like, oh, great. Yeah, it's kind of a letdown.
Slap in the face.
Yeah, kind of blue-balled there. I didn't really... It was another one of the things, like, in this movie. I just think the writing... Oh, god damn, the writing in this movie.
Are you going to pull a Deadpool? It's just lazy writing.
It is. It's just... There's aspects of this movie I did feel like Deadpool. I'm like, this is just fucking lazy writing. The Beckett swerve I saw coming a mile away.
It's a lot of double crossing.
Yeah,
in this movie.
and that's the thing. The double crosses, they're meant to be impactful, but they're not fucking impactful because you see
it coming.
so many of them,
Yeah.
and you see them coming. The Beckett one was probably the most obvious one. Like, oh look, they got set up and betrayed. I wonder who it could be. And yeah, the only meaningful person it could have been was Beckett. And sure enough, here he comes walking through the door. Yeah, I didn't like that. I thought it was stupid. God damn. And so, aside from anything else that I could think of right off the bat, how Han Solo got his name.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, for those of you out
I think
there...
you guys hated this a little bit more than me, but I didn't like it.
I didn't like
Yeah,
it at
this
all.
is the one where me and Todd will differ on, and me and Vern are actually on the same side on this one. For those of you who don't know, Han Solo is not the birth-given name to said character. The only thing you know about him right off the bat is that his name is Han. He doesn't have a last name. So when he goes to escape Corellia and become part of the Imperial Academy, he is given a last name by the Imperial officer there, and is now known as, because he showed up alone, he's known as Han Solo.
I could just see him just like, looking around. There's a red Solo cup. You see Solo on it. There's
Did you see that they've done that now with Solo cups? That they advertised this movie with Solo cups?
Oh no,
Yes.
I have not seen that.
And that's just, it's beautiful. It's like the universe wanted it this way.
Well, that's what the movie, its working title, you know, like how Blue Harvest was Return of the Jedi. This one was called Red Cup. So when we got sent posters for it at the theater, it was under the title Red Cup.
That's
so nobody knew what
beautiful.
it was.
Actually, you're serious?
I'm
That's
dead
seriously
serious.
saying?
Yeah, it was known as Red Cup.
Love it.
Oh my god.
But no, I thought that the naming of Han Solo, having somebody else give him that name, and especially an Imperial officer, I thought was fucking stupid. If anybody's gonna he should have been the one to give himself his own last name. Like I was telling Todd this yesterday when we were kind of briefly discussing the movie. I would have been fine if Han walked up to the thing and the guy's like, "Oh, what's your last name or what's the name of your people?" Blah blah blah, and he's like, "Well, I really don't have one." And the officer's like, "Well, I need something," and Han sits there, kind of looks around for a bit, and just goes Solo. If he just made it up on his own, I would have been happy with it. The fact that he's given it,
yeah.
Oh my god,
why would you keep
fucking
it?
Stupid.
If an Imperial soldier gave you your name, why would you keep it?
Yeah, you would think as soon as you're gone, you would change your name to something else because that's not easily trackable. The name Han Solo in their system,
and that's how that is how I feel about it. I think it was a little bit of a dumb scene. I feel the same way. I feel. I would have liked the scene better if they would have played it out a little differently, like you were saying. If they would have done something like that, if he would have come up with it himself. The only thing I will note that I did, and I told DJ about this yesterday, that I really enjoyed out of that scene was how chipper that guy was. How Like, because whenever you see, like, an Imperial guy, they're
What
like...
you don't see here is Vern rolling his eyes at that.
What you usually see is just them yelling, like, die, rebel scum. And this guy is a recruiter. So he's going to be like, hi, how are you doing today?
Well,
join the Imperials.
I think the
Isn't
only...
that like all recruiters?
Exactly! That's what I liked about it.
I think the only thing I really liked out of that whole scene is when he's in line, waiting to get up to the recruiter's desk. They're showing videos in the background, or like join the Empire and bring order to the galaxy and stuff like that. And you could hear a version of the Imperial March being played over top of what the voice guy is saying in the video. I'm like, that's kind of cool. It's almost like it's a marching band version of the Imperial March.
Like,
and I'm like, that's kind of funny to hear.
I would have been happy if part of this movie was just Starship Troopers with Star Wars.
Oh my god.
Like, do you want to know more?
Get to fight the bugs.
Come on, you want to live forever? just Rico in there, or Michael Ironsides. Who, by the way, right now I'm saying any future Star Wars movie, if you're producers, directors, if you're listening out there, please put Michael Ironside in a Star Wars movie. We need Michael Ironside in Star Wars. But, okay, we're almost towards the end here, and we're gonna, with a lot of the things that we hate, we're gonna wrap this up with a big sort of spoiler at the end of the movie, a big reveal that that has really angered one of us. Actually, it has brought anger to one of us, enjoyment out of one of us, and probably a little bit of both.
Confusion.
And confusion.
Confusion.
At the end of the movie, Kiera kind of, I don't want to say double crosses Han, but she kind of leaves him on the planet when she said they were going to go off and do their thing. She leaves him, and she reports back to the leader, she reports back to Dryden's boss. Spoiler alert, they kill Dryden. But she reports back to Dryden's boss on what's been going on. And you get a hologram image, and it's of a cloaked figure. Now, initially, I'm sure 99.9% of people, when they saw the movie and saw a hooded figure, probably immediately thought it was the Emperor. But it wasn't. And I could even tell the voice was different right away. But it turns out it is none other than Darth Maul. Yes, if you're not up to canon, if you're not up to speed on canon, yes, Darth Maul is alive. He did survive getting cut in half at the end of episode 1, and he is now back running the Black Sun thing. Or no, he wasn't running it, I don't think. She was just reporting to
Crimson Dawn.
Crimson Dawn. That was
Dawn.
it. Crimson Dawn. So, yeah, and they have a discussion about what they're going to do next and blah, blah, blah. And then the movie ends with a half-assed sabacc game in which Han Solo wins the Millennium Falcon back. But let's talk about Darth Maul. All right, Todd.
Do you really want me to go first?
I will let you go first because I'm going to end this on a not so angry note.
Hey, welcome to Real Rants, everyone. We're finally get to rant about something.
We actually get to rant. We get to rant about something like our.
I'm
title.
scared.
Okay.
Strap in.
Okay, so I'm watching this movie and this part comes up. This whole time I'm watching this movie and I'm like, this is a cool concept. We are seeing a seedy underbelly part of Star Wars. We're not seeing mystical shit. We're not seeing the Force. We're not seeing Jedi or Sith. We're not seeing a goddamn lightsaber. Like, this is kind of a neat concept. And then Darth Maul shows up. And multiple things go through my head. First of all, he is, I'm Darth Maul, lights up his lightsabers, and I'm like, well, there goes that shit. And I'm like, and then, of course, I'm like, why the hell is Darth Maul here? Isn't that dude dead? And like I said before, I am a step above a casual fan here. I know Star Wars, but I have not watched 2 different cartoon series. I've just watched the films because that's what I do. And so immediately I'm trying to figure out the timeline, and I'm like, oh, well, maybe this is before episode 1 now. And I'm like, but no, that would mean Han Solo would be this really ancient dude. And I'm like, what? This doesn't fit at all in a timeline. And it ripped me so hard out of the movie that it just left the most bitter taste in my mouth.
Did you astral project?
I was so upset that my soul was ripped from my body. and it just at first I was kind of like, well, that was dumb. And I kind of let it, but then it sat with me for days. And to the point when DJ asked me yesterday what I felt of Solo, I looked at him and I said, I think I hate the Darth Maul part. I think I really, honestly hate it. and so I've been waiting for us to make this episode so I could just spill my hate of this whole part of the movie.
Let your hate flow.
Yeah. My eyes are turning red. I'm going to pull out a goddamn red lightsaber. But hate flow through you. But it was so it ripped me out of the entire thing I'd been enjoying. Like I said, I really like the idea of it not having anything to do with anything Jedi, Sith, Force, lightsaber. I liked it being just this gritty smuggler part of the story. And then it destroyed it. It ripped me so out of it. And it's really, all the other things I could kind of forgive in the movie, but that was the one where I said, I hate that. I hate that. So what do you guys think?
What say you, Vern?
All right.
Just gird up your loins here. Come on.
When I saw Darth Maul in the movie, I'm just like, I was confused. I wasn't excited to see him at all. I agree with Todd. After his rant, I agree with Todd. There should not have been a Jedi or a Sith or anything belonging into this movie. Maybe bounty hunters or something else. The scum and villainy,
underbelly,
right?
Star
The scum and
Wars.
villainy. So I totally agree with that. Like you, I'm still trying to figure out what timeline is this from. And I've watched the Star Wars Clone Wars, and I'm just flabbergasted by the whole situation. But yeah, I just try not to think about it because it gives me a headache.
Okay, now we're all in for something completely different here.
But I do have a question for you guys after you're done.
I did not expect the Darth Maul cameo at the end. I thought, and let me say this. Let me preface all this by saying, did Darth Maul really need to be in it? No. I think maybe a better cameo would have been somebody like maybe a Boba Fett or maybe even Jabba the Hutt, a hologram of Jabba the Hutt. That
They talk about him a bunch in it.
That maybe he was kind of pulling some strings to get rid of this other kind of crime thing, so he could have a little, take a little bit more control.
Yeah, I was upset that I didn't get to see any Hutts.
But in the one movie you thought you'd get Hutts,
right?
You don't get any Hutts. But I liked it because finally Disney, after they've kind of reset the canon and they've spent all this time since resetting the canon from before Force Awakens and all this stuff, building this new expanded universe, they are now finally letting the fucking films acknowledge the expanded universe. And that is what I appreciate about it, and that is what I like. Because there's been a disconnect from the films and the expanded universe, even when it wasn't a fit. Like, I'm not even going to count the prequel trilogy or the original trilogy, because the expanded universe in that time was not official. You had a bunch of stories written by a bunch of different people. Sometimes they contradicted each other. None of it made sense. Since Disney took over, this is one of the things I get into arguments with people about. Since they took over, and one of the things I like is they hit the reset on the canon. Now, everything that comes out, no matter what media form it's in, is officially canon to the Star Wars story, to the universe. It all has its place. But still, between Force Awakens and Last Jedi and Rogue One, they never acknowledged the expanded universe. You got, and so directly. Because in Rogue One, you got little hints of Rebels in there. Because in the background, you hear a character's name being called, and you see the ghost ship at one point flying in there. But it's one of those, it's Easter egg moments. Like, if you don't see it, you don't miss it. This is directly referencing the expanded universe canon, and I love it because now it's kind of doing what Marvel's doing, and I could see where that could be a problem, and I could see if they don't handle it right where it will be a problem. But to go against somebody like somebody with Todd's opinion who hates it because it's not directly addressed in any of the movies why he's there, how he survived and stuff like that. It makes you, or it should make you want to go back and find out what happened. And that's, Marvel does the same shit, and this is what I brought up with Todd yesterday when we were talking about it. At the end of Guardians 2, at the very end after the credits, when the one gold chick was like, "Oh, I'm gonna create something that'll destroy the Guardians, and I'm gonna call him Adam." Who the fuck is Adam? See, you know, Vern got all excited here. You know who Adam is,
Right.
as a casual fan who only knows the movies, somebody let's flip flop me and Todd here, somebody that only knows the movie canon. I have no fucking clue who Adam is. It's like, what? And everybody that was freaking out about that, I'm like, why is this such a big deal? Okay. So it made me want to go and see who Adam was. Hopefully, Darth Maul appearing in this is making people go, if they don't know about the canon, they're like, wait, what the fuck? I thought he was dead? How did he survive? And they're going to go back and look up and find out exactly what happened, how he survived, what he's been doing up until this time. What I'll agree with you on, though, is that it's still kind of iffy on where exactly Solo fits.
Yeah.
Is this before the events? I'm guessing this is before Rebels. And it's obviously after the Clone Wars. So
it was during the Clone Wars. The Clone Wars is supposed to be in between.
I was talking about just Solo, the story itself.
Oh, okay.
But no, when you see Darth Maul return, it's in Clone Wars.
It's in Clone Wars, and it's in between. And then Clone Wars is supposed to be in between Attack of the Clones
and Revenge of the Sith.
Revenge of the Sith.
Because it's Darth Maul's brother,
Savage. Yeah.
Savage, that ends up finding him.
Yes,
Savage.
It's one of those. Yes, really? It's one of those obvious Star Wars names. Savage Opress. Yeah, it's just actually, shake your head.
All right, it's actually kind of a cool story because it involves a lot with the Night Sisters, and I never knew about the Night Sisters. And and I have other friends besides Todd who are into the whole Star Wars mantra. So the story with the Night Sisters is actually really a good one. But yeah, some part of me agree with you with that. Savage, Savage. It's like, why don't you just call him Savage?
General bad guy.
Yeah, General Grievous. Admiral Bone to Pick.
Well, I still laugh at Dooku.
Yeah.
I go, of all the Star Wars villainy, I'm going to laugh at it. I'm going to be afeared of a guy named Dooku.
I thought of a Legend of Zelda character. I love the little Dooku nut.
All right, sorry to drag you out.
Well, I want to counterpoint to DJ because we are such on the opposite ends of this. It's comparing it to Marvel.
Should I stand back?
Feel free to just jump in whenever you want.
I don't want to.
But comparing it to Marvel.
I see Vern backing away like the Mario referee and Tyson's punch. I'm like, all right, go. I'm just backing out here.
Fight!
Specifically the Adam reference. Okay, that's... And I counterpoint that is, like you said, it's a teaser. You don't know who it is, but you want to go investigate it more. Darth Maul is a returning character. Now, if that would have been not Darth Maul, if that would have been a new character showing up in his place, a brand new character, it would have been the same. I would have been the same way as like the Adam thing. Like, who is that? I'm curious to see who she's dealing with now. The connection I make is in like the second part of Infinity Wars, if Agent Coulson and Daisy Johnson show up, who the fuck? Like, why is Coulson alive? Who the fuck is that with him? Yeah. That would require me watching Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
Don't.
So that's my point.
I don't think, like, yes and no. Like, let's say Agent Coulson showed up. I think where the difference lies is I still would have been like, how is he there? And then I don't think it would have upset me, though. I think I would have still gone back and been like, oh, okay, well, that's what happened to him.
I think it was more than anything, I think it was the multiple reasons of why this guy.
I was gonna say, because with Darth Maul showing up, it's not really any different. I think if it was just a random character that you didn't know about, I don't think it would have had the same impact. And I thought they were going for a really impact moment there.
Well, they wanted a call. They wanted a nice callback. I get that.
The only thing I will say about this is that if there is no payoff to that, then that was all for naught and it was fucking stupid.
Yeah, maybe if this pays off, I'll change my mind about it later. But as of now, it
should be
sit right with me.
And it should be a film payoff. Like I don't want to see this resolved in
like it just happened.
Like it just happened, and then they resolve it in a comic or in a book somewhere or a video game. If they bring it up in a movie, there needs to be some sort of film payoff, and that's why
I'll retract some of my hate should that happen.
And that's why I think there might be a chance that they go back, and if it's possible that they are going to do an Obi-Wan movie, that this may kind of lead into that, and they may sort of redo the one episode of Rebels where Maul, no longer Darth, because he's not associated with the Sith. He's just known as Maul. Where he comes and he's been using the Rebels to track down Obi-Wan because he wants to kill him off for what he did to him. But that's a whole separate side story. Vern, you look like you want to say something.
I mean, I kind of agree with you both. Like, when I think, was it Revenge of the Sith? When Revenge of the Sith came out, Cartoon Network has a series of cartoons, 5-minute shorts, something simple with Jedi's fighting, and there was the one where Mace Windu went after a General Grievous.
Yes.
And in the beginning of the movie, because when I went to go see that with friends, they were just like, why is he hacking so much? Mm-hmm. And it's because in the cartoon, they showed that he had a fight with Mace Windu, and Mace crushed his chest, and that's why he's coughing so much.
Yeah.
And if you didn't watch the cartoon, then you wouldn't know that was kind of like a crucial part of the story.
Yeah.
Which
like he literally just got out of that fight with Mace Windu.
Right.
Yeah.
And I can't agree with that. You know, it's just kind of like, to me, it's bad marketing. It's bad marketing because if this person doesn't know what's going on, then the stories that the writer had presented just kind of sucks.
But like with something like that, I found it very tertiary. It was sort of like, why is he coughing? And then it's like, oh, once you find out, you're like, oh, okay. I don't know. I just see it from a different point of view.
Maybe that's your point of view.
From my point of view, the Jedi are evil.
Well, then you are truly lost.
Don't underestimate my power.
Oh yeah.
But no, I come from I had no problem with the Maul thing. The only thing I have a problem with is if there isn't some sort of film payoff down the road, whether that's going to be in maybe a Maul standalone movie or if it's going to be in in an Obi-Wan movie.
Yeah.
So I mean, we'll see. But if there's no payoff to that, and like I said, if it turns out to be like in a comic or anything like that, I will be disappointed. I will understand, quote unquote, why, because I'm sure what they're trying to do is drive more people to look at all this other canon stuff that they've been doing and be like, oh, if you like this, well, check out this. If you like that, check out that. You know what I mean? So I don't think it's bad marketing. I just think it's one of those things like, I don't even know how to describe it because there's people jumping up and down upstairs and it's really annoying me. But I'll just end my thing there with I didn't have a problem with the mall thing. I did like though that they actually kept it as the same guy doing the voice from the Rebels show, Sam Witwer, who if nobody out there is familiar with Sam Witwer, he did the voice of Maul in Rebels. He also did the voice of Palpatine in Rebels, aside from one episode where they got Ian McDermott back. I think that was for like the finale.
Okay.
But he was also had his likeness and motion capture for and likeness voice mocap work for Force Unleashed. He played Starkiller in both Force Unleashed games.
Oh, okay. All right. Yeah.
Yeah, he's literally a Star Wars super geek. He knows like everything.
It's crazy that they didn't get Ray Parks back for that though.
But yeah,
what the hell is Ray Parks doing?
But if they were to get anybody to kind of do that role again, I'm glad they kind of got Sam Witwer. I'm sure it was just a digital version of Maul and they just got him to do the voice for it. But we'll see if they bring him back in a movie. We'll see if they actually do Ray Park again and maybe have Witwer do the voice for him, or if they're just going to let maybe Witwer do Maul. We'll see. But we're about towards the end here.
I do have a question for you guys.
What's the question?
The question is, all right, so now that we've seen Rogue One and now that we've seen Solo, what story would you like that Star Wars? What story would you like to see? Me personally, I would love to see a story on the bounty hunters and Black Sun.
Well, don't speak too soon. But I think you are getting your bounty hunters one with probably a Boba Fett movie coming out. They did officially announce Boba Fett is going to be a movie. Now, whether it's just going to be called Boba Fett, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know, but
It'll be Fett, a Solo story. A Star Wars story.
Inside the Sarlacc.
I do think when you get Boba Fett, you are going to get a straight up bounty hunter movie, probably. Maybe with some crossover to Solo, which, fingers crossed, if it's set before all the stuff of A New Hope, I do want to see. Todd, what about you? If you were
Porgs, nothing but porgs.
I thought you were going to say Porkins at first. You got
Oh, dude, I want to see that story.
you got my hopes
Legend
up.
of a hero. Yeah, I don't know, because I've always wanted I always liked the smugglers and stuff in Star Wars. So this was
The less mystical side of the
this
Star
was
Wars
a little
universe.
bit of up my alley for what I would have liked to see. Maybe stuff with like the beginning of the Rebel. I mean, you had that. I guess you had a little bit of that in Rogue One, but like following like the post story of like Biggs and Wedge and stuff like that. Just like some side characters, and like I said, I almost want like stories set in the same universe, but not tethered by like a character or something. I told you this yesterday. This movie could have worked fine if it wasn't Han Solo. If this was, if you had an original character, take out Han Solo and Chewbacca, and you have just original characters to this, it would have worked fine. In fact, it might have worked better. Like I think I used the example of Bon Holo or something, which still sounds like a Star Wars name. But this is the kind of story I would like to see and see more of it. Like I don't get me wrong, I like Jedi and Sith, and I think those are fun stories, but we've seen it
So many
10,
times.
12 times now. So this was a little more refreshing of seeing just that different side of it. And for characters who don't, they're just armed with a blaster and their wits. And there's stuff about that I like. So I'd like to see another movie kind of in this same vein. Which I guess Bounty Hunters would probably work something along those lines.
I wouldn't mind seeing. I'm so tired of Boba Fett and the fandom around Boba Fett. I don't get it. But
He's the Batman of the Star Wars universe.
Oh, fuck him.
Batman.
He's the Fett man. I mean, I guess I'll still see a Boba Fett movie. I really want to see Obi-Wan. I want to see a Knights of the Old Republic movie.
Ooh, yeah.
I think that would be really fucking awesome if they did a movie based around, or if not that time period. I think because there's so much more you can get away with creatively without having to worry about, is this going to interfere with canon? Because you can almost write a brand new canon because it's set like 1,000 years before the events of Episode 1. So, but one I've always wanted to see, I brought it up earlier, I've always wanted to see Shadows of the Empire. A live action version of Shadows of the Empire. You don't even have to have, because there's a lot of interaction, or I shouldn't say a lot, but there is some interaction between the main character, his name is Dash Rendar, between him and Han Solo, him and Leia, him and Luke. Vader makes an appearance in it. But they're all kind of like cameos. I guess Vader is the one that's probably more heavily involved in it than all the other characters, but it kind of follows. I don't know if you've ever played like the video game or know the book, but it just follows like the adventures of like a sort of like a Han Solo-ish character who is going around and kind of helping the rebellion with doing his thing. But it's been so long since I've read the story, I can't remember the specifics. All I know is that the villain's name is Prince Skizor.
Yeah.
And he's the ruler of the Black Sun. And like they're trying to compete with, like, he has his thing, like he's trying to gain favor with the Emperor and kind of turn the Emperor against Vader and kind of make Vader look bad. Vader realizes that there's like a power struggle there, and then Vader ends up like offing him something. But that's one I would like to see. I would like to see a Shadows of the Empire movie, even if they didn't do it live action, an animated version of it, like an animated miniseries for it. I think would be really cool, like Netflix style or something, Disney XD style. But, alright, we're going to wrap up this edition of Real Rants Solo. Yeah, sorry, took us a little bit to get it out, but, we wanted to let this one marinate a little bit. And
I feel the payoff was worth it.
Yeah, I gotta say, we actually got to rant about something in this and fulfill our name. Yeah.
This is a good therapy. Good session.
But at the end of the day, like we said, everything that we've complained about, with all that being said, it was still a good movie. Still recommend seeing it. My personal opinion, like I know Todd brought it up at the beginning, he liked it better than Last Jedi and Rogue One. I still feel like it's the weaker out of all the ones that they've released thus far, but it's still really enjoyable. And I would still recommend anybody to go see it. Star Wars fan, non-Star Wars fan, just go see it. It's a fun movie. And don't listen to fucking internet trolls. Don't listen to the Kathy Bateses from Misery out there.
Bring it back.
That's a different Real Rants discussion.
Stop baiting.
But all right, wrap it up. We'll see. We'll catch you guys later. I don't even know what the next thing is.
We'll find something.
Yeah, we'll find something. I'm thinking the next thing might be like Jurassic World, but we'll figure out something. But we already heard the grumbles here.
I want Vern to see this. I want us to do a
You know
real
what?
rant. So Vern could do the negative.
You know what?
voice.
I wanted to refuse to see this because I didn't like the last one, but I actually want to see this because then you'll get a chance to see me rant.
Which, God, I can't wait to see. Normally, like you said before the show, you were like the quiet one over here.
I'm glad that we're building up to at least one film where all of us can rant about something.
So yeah. Yeah. So let's see this.
All right. That's it for today's show. We're signing off. Todd, say goodbye.
Goodbye.
Vern, say goodbye.
Goodbye.
Adios, everybody. Catch you on the flip side.
Hate it.